Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hey, Key. Happy to see you. Crystal. Crystal is doing the work. Thank you, Crystal. Oh, Michelle, I hate that you're going to miss it. We miss you. I hope you'll be able to join us again soon. Hey, hey, hey. Happy Sunday, everybody. I am traveling today. Yes, I'm traveling today. I'm actually in Atlanta. And I will share about some of that in just a few minutes. I said that to say I am sitting in a lobby of a random hotel, not the hotel I'm staying at. I just needed a space to sit and some Wi-Fi, and um, so if you hear some random noises, I'm explaining up front what's happening. Hello, I'm Vera Diane, I think is what your name is. I hope I didn't mess that up. Welcome, first timer. Glad to have you. I hope this won't be your last time. Thank you for joining. Hey, Crystal. Hey, hey, hey. Happy Sunday, everyone. Glad you all are here. I'm going to do my kickoff intro. I think I'm prepared this morning, so y'all don't be alarmed. There we go. There we go. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on your location. My name is Jewel Pearson. This is Miss Bohemian Soul TV. This segment, I have renamed it. You know, I'm always down for a good tiny house remix, so I'm remixing this one to represent what it truly is. Um, Today's segment is one of our community conversations. And so now we've got three segments in the series. So the conversations on intimate spaces, where I am interviewing someone in and around the tiny house movement. The What's Your Question, where I am answering specific questions that I plan to have a planned presentation, and then our community conversation. So that is this segment. So we'll figure it out and where we are, and I hope you'll join for all of them. This one we're just literally sharing in community, and I figured I wanted to honor what we do on Sundays sometimes. All right, so as I introduce myself, I like to say that I built a kind of fancy tiny house in 2015, and since that time, I have shared my journey to hopefully inspire others who are interested in the movement. I do offer coaching and consultations to help others in their tiny house journey, and you'll be able to find links to schedule with me in the video description once this goes live. You can always find those links in my channel description. And as I'm doing all of that, I like to serve up a lot of representation in the movement. I want us to see ourselves. I want us to be able to talk to our successes and our challenges that we have in the movement, and representation is so important. It is my intent to build figurative and literal community that is inclusive and accessible. And if you find this information and the video helpful, I hope you'll like it, you'll share it, you'll subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so that you'll know when content is available. And so like the videos. That way YouTube will also like the videos, and see that it's getting some traction, and share some information with others about my channel. You know, I'm trying to grow the channel and do all those things. All right, that's my intro. Again, happy Sunday to all. Thank you all so much for being here. Um, Happy Sunday, Roslyn. Happy to see you. Hey, Casey. Hello to you. All right, we got some first timers. Hi, Deborah. Welcome. We appreciate you joining, first timers. Good morning, Robert. And Crystal is saying hello, new folks. Absolutely. Welcome to the community. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. All right. You all know I'm always down for a good remix, too. Thank you, Crystal. I love a good tiny house remix, and I'm always remixing the things. Grand Rising, Wayne. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, Crystal. Yes, Crystal. All right. Key is on it. Key said we haven't even started yet, and she's already hit the like button because she already knows it's going to be good. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all. So I am, as I shared, I am happy Sunday. T. I am in Atlanta for a couple of reasons. One, and I shared with you all that I was doing the American session with Pinky Cole, who is the owner of Slutty Vegan, the vegan restaurant that started here in Atlanta. She has them all over the country now. Very successful. She holds this session where she has entrepreneurs in the room. She has well-known music artists, people in the community, successful people in the community. I kind of see it like a Shark Tank kind of scenario, and I signed up maybe about a month and a half to participate, and so that is this evening. And so you all already know that I will be there to talk about all things tiny houses. You can't wear logo stuff. You can wear your personal logo stuff. So I've got my logo stuff on, and plan to be talking tiny houses, hoping to make some fabulous connections with other like-minded people, or somebody who really sees the benefit in tiny houses and communities, and the opportunities that they present for home ownership, getting to home ownership quicker, for wealth building, all the things that you all know we talk about here. So I am hoping to get somebody's ear, or somebody's, multiple somebody's ears, to talk about all the things tiny houses, and hopefully be able to make some strides and move some things forward. Crystal says she's asking for one there in Virginia Beach. Yeah, we don't have one in North Carolina, so same. I think she's hinted around coming to Charlotte, but she hasn't made it yet. Good morning, Kitty from San Diego. I'm sure it's beautiful. Hello, Day from Miami. Welcome. Good to see you, or virtually see you. Um, Kimberly is saying, I love your style and love your journey and all the representation. I reside on a 20-acre farm in Idaho and would like to start a tiny home community. Would love your input and expertise. Well, that is what I do. Would love to collaborate and talk to you about that. That also fits in. I'll talk a bit about the app that I'm working on, to give you all an update on the app. So that fits in fabulously with what I do and what I love. So welcome. And hi from San Diego. Hello, Karina. So that is one of the reasons that I am here. I also have had some family loss. Had two young cousins who were killed in a very tragic accident, and another young cousin who is in ICU. And so we'll be attending a funeral tomorrow for two of my um, young cousins, and spend being here for a couple of days, a few days, to spend some time with family. I did share about that on my socials, and I don't normally share that kind of stuff on social, but it is tragic. It's a lot. They've been dealing with a lot, and so I did share the information on that, as they need some support. Um, all right, let's see. Yes, there is a community in North Carolina, Coney Bell. Coney Bell was just acquired. Well, yeah, acquired or bought out, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what their lot rent is. I think I try to keep lot rent in perspective of what would you be paying for an apartment. And so I don't know exactly what their lot rent is, but I would say that's probably a good perspective to compare it to. I think a lot of people are expecting that tiny house parking should be really, really inexpensive, but I think it is really relative to housing prices, because people, have to make money to be able to support communities and offer amenities and all of those things. So I always encourage people to keep that in mind. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is really, really hard they've been going through it. It's been New Year's Eve, my cousin, whose grandsons these are, just lost her mom, and that was very unexpected. So we've been gathered for the last month or so for sad occasions, and so they're just really, really going through it. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. I appreciate that. Oh, so like 600 is crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. I'm gonna come back to that. Um, Welcome, Teresa. Happy to see you. So I'm gonna talk very quickly. I'm gonna Vera Diane, and I hope I'm saying your name right. So you're saying lot rent for a Coney Bell lot rental is $600. And your comment is we aren't really owning them, right? And I'm gonna say if you think about apartment rentals right now are three, four, five times $600, and you're never gonna own an apartment either. So I think it is, as I was saying, relative to what has to, in, in perspective of the economy, and also the area location, location, as they say for real estate, location, location, location. A Coney Bell is very close to Asheville. Um, Location, $600 to me is a steal because of the amenities, the location, a safe community, and just again, keeping it in perspective. I say you get what you pay for. So something that's a whole lot less expensive is not going to really offer, in my opinion, the safety that you want from a community. So you have to keep that in mind. Like we all want something cheap, but you also have to keep in mind these folks have to make money. They have to be able to continue to expand their community. And so I would absolutely venture to say that $600 is a steal. But again, perspective of what are the costs in um, when you compare it to housing. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh wow, Day, that's tough. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, rent is crazy right now. So I would say I would offer that perspective to you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I am feeling really good. An update on that. I feel really, really good. I do still have follow-up appointments coming up just to continue determining what the long-term care options, all of those are. Um, and then I'm still working on um, my job situation, what my leave options are. So I am in that process. My doctor is completing paperwork, and then I'll figure out all those things and what that looks like. So thank you very much. Um, um, okay, so Rosalind is asking what's included in the $600. I don't know the details of their community. I have no idea. It may be that nothing is included in the $600, and I would still say it's reasonable if it's just the lot rental. Lot rental for $600. I just would ask you to consider where you can live for $600. And if you say a mortgage for $600, then I would say um, in today's economy, I would ask you to consider where you're going to get a mortgage for $600, where you're going to get that rate, where that home is going to be located, all of the things, and ask you to consider that. Um, and I don't like to debate people's prices, but I also want us to keep it in perspective. So Vera Diane is saying that's true, but we have to pay for the tiny and the rent. It becomes very expensive fast. It kind of negates the tiny living philosophy. We are renting and want out of that situation. And so I would honestly say I totally disagree with that statement. I don't know that many years ago people would speak to what the tiny living philosophy is, and I say that is something different for each person. Living tiny doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be cheap. building a tiny house is, if you do the numbers, building a tiny house, the cost per square footage is more expensive than the cost for a large home if you do the math. Tiny house living doesn't always equate to cheap, is the first piece of that. And you're going to have to rent somewhere to place the tiny house if you're not placing it on your own land, and that's just the bottom line. Like that is a given. And then paying for the tiny. Um, the thing about that is, unfortunately, there aren't many options for financing for tiny houses. So you are spending a lot of money out of pocket, and you are um, trying to figure out how to navigate. If you do an RVIA certified home, then you can get a loan. Or if you use one of there are some companies that offer tiny house loans. If you use one of those companies, I don't know anything about their interest rates. Um, it's not the greatest situation for financing a tiny house, but it's also not a 10, 15, or 30 year mortgage. And so the hope is that you'd have some money saved to offset paying for the tiny house. And then once you pay for the tiny house, so in my situation, my house is completely paid for. So I'm not paying for the tiny house. I paid what I paid for the tiny house. I didn't pay. Um, if you want to compare it to a mortgage, you're paying the mortgage, but you're also paying the interest rate on that mortgage. So, say you buy the house and it's $130,000, which is really low on in our economy. By the time you finish paying for that house and the interest rate, it is way more than $130,000. That's not necessarily the case with the tiny house, and so there is that you're still not comparing apples to apples. So, got something on my lips. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. So like I really would encourage you to look at the broader perspective. And yes, it becomes expensive fast, but then you pay off your tiny house. But it is still not the same situation as your rent in an apartment. It is not the same thing as a mortgage. You're not going to live anywhere other than in some very rural area, where for me, my safety is going to be of concern as a person of color for probably under $500. If you find somewhere in the $200 or $300 range, um, that's likely going to be your own property, somebody you know, um, or again, some rural area. I think we just have to keep in mind it is 2024 and things are expensive. $600 again um, is reasonable. And again, the philosophy for tiny house living means something different to everyone, but it doesn't. Tiny living doesn't equate to cheap. Is the main thing I think that you have to keep in mind. Um, yeah, we've spoken about that. The article that I've read said that there's nowhere in the United States that someone can live on minimum wage and own and rent a two-bedroom apartment. There's nowhere in the United States that is possible. Um, so again, you have to consider our current economy and where things are. Rosalind said, a $600 mortgage in today's economy will be somewhere with 10 roaches in the corner. Somewhere I don't think I want to live there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Nowhere in the US can you pay a mortgage at $600. The only thing I've seen is a townhouse that is in an unincorporated area where the fire department is volunteering. Interesting. Interesting. Um, so Robert is suggesting maybe you should consider buying some land to eliminate the rent charges. And so then that goes back to the conversations we have on parking a tiny house, and specifically a tiny house on wheels. So We're not even talking about a tiny house on foundation, because as you get ready to build something on foundation, then you have to go through the permitting process and dealing with the city or dealing with the county and adding in those additional, I hope this doesn't hang up, um, adding in those additional costs. So I'm speaking specifically to a tiny house on wheels. There is nowhere on at least the East Coast. Again, the East Coast is slow to getting up to speed on tiny houses with wheels. So there's nowhere in on the East Coast that you'll, I don't want to say nowhere. There are limited places on the East Coast where you can buy a piece of land and just place a tiny house on wheels on that land. And those officials allow you to do that and provide you with the utilities that you'll need to live in that home. If you buy some land and it is land where, say, a lot of tree cover, and you decide in the middle of this tree cover, I'm going to be off grid and live in my tiny house on wheels, that's a different opportunity. But to be somewhere and just place your tiny house and expect that the officials will allow you to live there is generally not going to happen on the East Coast. You need to be on a piece of property that already has an existing structure or existing structures there, so that you then can tap off of those structures and power your home, and get access to water and those things. And that needs, the structure has to be operable so that you're tapping off of that structure to get what you need. It is not a thing to be allowed just on buying a piece of property and placing a tiny house on wheels there, unfortunately. But that's the stuff that I'm trying to work on as we try to change minds. The West Coast does. I always speak to, and tiny house parking. The videos I'll drop those tiny house parking videos, but the West Coast does a better job of doing that. They'll allow tiny houses as ADU, so as a structure in the backyard that doesn't have to be owned by the homeowner. Um, they are more, excuse me, they are more open to tiny house communities. And so we're slowly, most of the communities on the East Coast are parts of RV communities or formerly RV communities where the zoning is different, but the East Coast is a lot slower to permitting that as an option. Teresa said, somebody had a cray cray neighbor. Um, I put in an offer on a brick home on half an acre, great neighborhood. Mortgage would have been definitely 600. Lost it to a cash offer. Investors, they are out there, but they go fast for cash. What area is that in that you're speaking of? Absolutely. Um, yeah, you, until financing, and financing is a barrier to the movement, and a big barrier to the BIPOC community. You often have my counterparts who have, they're owning a home, and I'm scared to mess with this. Um, my AirPods don't sit in my ears correctly, and this one will hang up. Um, my counterparts are often selling a larger home and using those proceeds to buy a tiny house. They often have the access to things that our community struggles with, even in conventional home ownership. And so, until there become more options for tiny house financing, that remains a big challenge and a barrier, um, because the hope is that you're not going into a bunch of debt to build the tiny house. Tiny house companies that offer financing are always good to see. RVIA loans, if you have the credit to support that, and RVIA loans are going to um, be the builder is generally going to have some connections with the banks that are going to offer RBIA loans. And those loans are generally offered through a credit union. So if you already have a relationship with a credit union, then you possibly can leverage that relationship with an RVIA builder to finance a tiny house on wheels. Um, One of the things people don't talk a lot about, which I've shared, if you have it again, there's I had access to money in my 401k, and I took a loan out against my own 401k to finance my tiny house. People don't talk a lot about doing that because that money is supposed to be for retirement and for all of those things. But getting to retirement is something that you need to be able to do, and sometimes you need that money. And so, if you need to consider using it, again, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take my word as the gospel. But it's something that I did that was very, very helpful to me, and something that I would offer that you could consider and look into. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, Kimberly is saying recently retired African American woman would like to create affordable living outside Boise, supplement my income. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Um, there are only a couple of banks that give loans for tiny homes. I can't recall the names. Well, y'all know I share financing, so I'll drop that link the in the video description, the financing link, so that you'll have that information. Create a community with shared gardens and other amenities. That's absolutely the way I see tiny house communities um, being successful, and like learning from lessons of the past of how mobile home communities were developed. They weren't developed in that manner. And then when people look back on the demise of mobile home communities and how they often ended up being a blight on the community, those are the things, like if they had been developed more along that level, I think they would have been more successful, or less of an eyesore that the community kind of holds on to, which is one of the things that I feel like they hold against tiny house communities. Yep, zoning is always going to be the challenge. Yeah, used to be self-built tiny house. Now their companies are charging so much, like everything else stuff is hella expensive right now. Yeah, and I always say they're not necessarily charging so much, but is what they have to charge to even be able to make a profit. So the example I'll give is when I built my tiny house in 2014, when I started building in 2014, OSB was, I'm gonna say, somewhere around $15 to $25 a panel. And then when I added that sunroom space onto my house, which was right 2020, as we were still in the pandemic and moving out of it, that same panel was costing $75. So had it been the same, um, me building my tiny house, I wouldn't have been able to afford it because now it's three times what I paid for it just a few years ago. So it's not necessarily the builders jacking up their prices. It is, and at that time they were saying supply chain issues. They didn't have access to materials. So it's not, in order to build a tiny house, the builder has to make some profit to be able to stay in business. And so that's the consideration, because even a self build is not as easy and cheap as it and cheap again being relative, not as easy and cheap to do as it was, so long ago. So again, economy changes, supply chain issues, all of the things impact all of that. And for me, it really put it in perspective as I was adding doing this new build, because I know for sure I was paying at least three times less for these panels. So yeah, yeah. They is saying in my community, families are fed up with high rent and strict rules regarding tiny homes and campers on our property. They are placing quality tents and outdoor showers and backyards. Interesting. Interesting. Kimberly, so yes, no. So my link to connect with me is will be in the description of the video. I can so would love to connect with you. Casey is saying she's interested. So, and Karina is saying, I live in a mobile home park. It's someone that's saying you rent the land. Absolutely. You're not going to ever own that land. But again, you have to compare it to an apartment building. You're never going to own that apartment, and you're still paying astronomical prices to live in that apartment. Okay, Greensboro. Got you. Oh, Kitty is saying we're going to get some rain in Atlanta. Are you speaking of rain in Atlanta or in North Carolina? I'm thinking maybe you were here when I said I'm in Atlanta. I'm hoping no rain. I'm sick of, I don't want any rain. Um, yeah, the problem I'm finding is that if you have a tiny house on wheels and want to purchase land, the tiny home is designated as an RV and they will not allow you to place it on your own land. Absolutely not. So you're not allowed to live in an RV, and most, many jurisdictions will consider a tiny house wheels as an RV, even if it doesn't have the RVIA designation. So my thoughts are, one, trying to have conversations with those officials, especially if it's a small town. Um, Minds can be changed if you have a compelling presentation, and so that often works. And so, and those are the conversations that I'm actually trying to have in my local area, trying to show what is being done in other areas, and the information is out there. I'm happy to share information and participate in those conversations. Consulting with you, but changing mindsets, because oftentimes they just are given, here are the rules, but they are open to, because everybody's experiencing an affordable housing crisis. So some of them are open to having their minds change because they don't know what the opportunities are. So when you take it to them and you present, here's an opportunity to impact your affordable housing crisis, and we do it this way, and here's how it's being done on the West Coast, and showing them examples of how it's already being done versus them feeling like they've got to reinvent the wheel. Um, a tie down plan, like speaking to the safety issues, speaking to how the home is built, all of those things, referencing some of the appendixes that are out there, appendix Q, and I think it's QA, like going in and knowing what you're talking about and asking them to consider options sometimes helps. So that is something that I would mention to you. There are so many ways that a tiny home community could integrate discreetly into a residential area. Gated entrance, high hedges. There's no reason it has to be an eyesore to the community. Absolutely not. So I think what I was saying, the eyesore, I was speaking to mobile home communities of old, where they clear out an area, they plop all these metal homes on the property, and there was no thought given to the aesthetics. And that is how the homes went, the communities went down. Also, the challenge with mobile homes, as I've spoken to before, is the fact that the owner can't repair their own home. It's made out of metal. They need a professional to do it. Oftentimes, they don't have the finances to do that, so the home ends up in disrepair. The bonus for tiny houses on wheels, they're stick built. Most things that need to be done around my house, I know how to do it, or I can hire a general contractor who works on houses, or who's just a contractor. And those things can be done so that my house stays in good condition, just like a traditional home. And so, and then understanding as you're building this community that you want to have the greenery, and the park-like scenario, and maybe even considering how parking is set up. So if you think about like an apartment complex that has parking on the sides of the buildings, and you're walking through these spaces to get to your space, something that's a consideration that I always say is something to look into, so that you're preserving the beauty of the community. And that's important. And again, it's the lessons that we've learned from how mobile home communities were designed. And but the thing about it is, people have they equate mobile homes to tiny houses, and they in their mind just see, they pass in this mobile home community and they think it's an eyesore, and so they automatically assign that same thought process to tiny houses on wheels, when it doesn't have to be the same. All right, I let's see what else. Oh, I was gonna think I can share, as you all are talking about finding a location for your tiny house. Let me see how I can do this. Um, I can share with you the membership site that I have shared. I am creating to help with that. Um, It is still a work in process. I'm really, really hoping to have it complete. Like, it's close. It's close. It's close. It's close. I'm really hoping. My intent is to have it complete for February. Like, I'd really like to have it complete for um, the Black History Month. Even though I think we say we might be moving Black History Month, or with to August, or a day in August, so that we can um, connect with what happened in Montgomery. Was it Montgomery? Where was that it went down? Um, wasn't Alabama? Did we say we were also, and it was on my birthday, so I think we also said we were taking the day in August. Maybe it wasn't the whole month of August, but we're taking the day in August. But I really want to launch this in February. Um, Let me see what I have. KC is saying at least one county in Tennessee you can place a tiny on your own land. A main foundation home is not required on the property. So, Casey, are you speaking to a tiny house on wheels, or are you speaking to a tiny house on foundation? Because that would be key to the conversation. Uh, Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Greensboro is okay with tinies as long as they are providing them to the currently unhoused, yes, but will not allow for folks like me that are disabled and have limited financial resources. Um, Want it to change. And sometimes you have to be the change agent. Yes, and there are a lot of areas that are, let me try this gently. There are a lot of areas that are, maybe I can take this one out. That's okay. Um, Using them for the unhoused, and it makes sense. The unhoused need housing, absolutely. They should be a priority. And so that is easier for people to get on board with, because it just, for them, logically makes sense. But you might have to be the change agent to help them understand how it also makes logical sense for um, um, other perspectives, other demographics that need housing and have challenges. And so you might have to be that change agent. And it is hard work. It is tiring work. It is something that doesn't happen quickly, um, but it is not impossible. Just you have to be diligent with it. One of the things that I would encourage you to do is to be sure that you are plugged into the Carolina Tiny House Festival, especially if you're in Greensboro, because we are, so Concord, North Carolina has approved tiny houses on foundation. They previously didn't allow them. They haven't completely ruled out, saying that they'll allow tiny houses on wheels. They haven't said yes, they haven't said no yet. And so I am partnering with the folks that are doing the work for the foundation side, um, to further the conversation around tiny houses on wheels. But we are having a festival, April 13th and 14th. I think that's right. Um, and a lot of officials will be there, and we are inviting 13th and 14th. We are having a workshop. Hey, Kathy. We are having a workshop on specifically on the Friday before the event to talk to some of the local officials. And so we're trying to invite officials from other areas into those conversations. We'll have some of the people in our area who are doing the work on the West Coast as speakers. So we're hosting a workshop so that we can get these people, these officials in the room to have these conversations with the people who are doing the work elsewhere to help them understand how it can be done and why it needs to be done. And the easy talk, this person can talk to them in their language. This person has formerly been involved with zoning and building code enforcement. So um, that's the work that we're trying to do. So you should get looped into that because obviously you're not too far away from us. Um, that would help you with some of your conversations. Yes, the Montgomery Brawl. That's what I was trying to talk about. So I know we're taking a day in August, which is my birthday, the 5th. That's when the Montgomery Brawl happened. So I know we're taking some days in August for Black History Month, but I'm going to show you my site in just a minute that I'm um, launching, and I plan to launch it. I must have some heat coming off my face. My glasses are fogging up. Um, um, so I'm trying to launch it in Black History Month. No, Casey. I knew you weren't disagreeing with me. Um, why I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was just making a point of why I don't understand the fears lawmakers have about allowing more tiny home communities. But we all know it's about money. I was just going to say the same thing. It is financial. We all know that. It is until they figure out how to get their money off of tiny houses so that it is more of benefit to them, this conversation becomes continues to be a challenge. Absolutely. And I knew you weren't disagreeing with me. Hey there. Um, Thank you, Skin Nails Nurse. I appreciate you. That's why I love y'all because when I can't think of stuff, y'all come with it. Um, Robert Robert said, Jewel, my future wife, y'all, explain again why folk can buy land for a trailer home on wheels with proper zoning, yet it is not the same for a tiny mobile home. Did I ask the right question? So, um, mobile homes are manufactured and governed by a government entity. And so they have their clause, for lack of a better word. They are involved in the manufacturing of mobile homes. So they govern how they're built. They get some money off of it. It is all governed by government entities. And so then they have zoning for mobile homes and they allow mobile homes in that zoning. Tiny houses aren't governed at this point by government entities, and they don't feel like they have the insight where I say it's money. They don't feel like they have the insight into tiny houses and therefore don't allow them. Um, that is that is it basically. I feel like, and as Casey just said, it's financial. They don't have their arms wrapped around tiny houses yet, so that they're controlling it and will not allow them, even in areas that are zoned for um, mobile homes. They just won't do it. Okay, so KC is saying the same county as Incredible Tiny Homes. You can buy your own land in that county and create your own community or just live in your own tiny. As far as I have understood it, they allow it to be a tiny house on wheels. Okay, good. That's good information. I have Incredible Tiny Homes is what ITH is, and I'm not sure what county they are in Tennessee, but that's good information. Um, Hi, Kathy. Welcome. I appreciate you for dropping in. Um, True, it's changing a lot, and well, I love it's great. My second mobile home, I love as you move forward. I wish you all the luck in the journey of tiny living here for it. So cool. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, I'm glad you're putting it on your calendar. Oh, look forward to having you here. Okay, Robert, thank you. Um, The Montgomery Sweet Tea Party. Absolutely. Um, oh yes, so Black August. I know Black August, but I think we were also co-opting. I know Black August, so Black August. There's some events that I attend not far from me in Durham that they have a lot of events around August, and I love it. I also love that I was born in August, but I feel like we're also co-opting it to do more around um, uh, to make other folks recognize that it is outside of our community that August is ours now. Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's it. Tiny homes aren't regulated. Absolutely. Um, yes, it's all about revenue. Here in Charlotte, mobile homes are not allowed unless they existed before the ban was started. Now you can place with one year newer, but no new communities are allowed because they have a stigma attached to them. And if you think about the mobile home communities in Charlotte, they're the communities aren't um, can you could consider them to be an eyesore. The thing about it though is instead of regulating not to allow them, they absolutely could put in the effort to clean up the communities and help those communities, and that would be a better way to move forward so that you're providing affordable housing versus just saying no to it. So, but the other piece about that is it's money, and Charlotte isn't really interested in, they speak about affordable housing, but they're not really interested in having that conversation because it doesn't make them the money that the high rises and all of those things make them. So that is one of the challenges. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I keep forgetting to say that. Yes, like the like the comments, like share the video, like the video, so that YouTube will think we're over here being fabulous, and will share my channel as well. Thank you, Roslyn. Thank you. August the 5th. Yes, yes, yes. I was born in August. Okay, I am not going to. Right. It is the dollar. So, okay, I want to share. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. There we go. Okay, I just want to give y'all a quick look at how this site is shaping up right now. So, it is a membership site. This is the site that I'm going to launch to help with finding tiny house parking. It is the updated version of the work that I have been doing manually for so many years, where I was collecting um, information on a spreadsheet and um, matching people who own property with prospective tiny house owners. Now I am taking it to a platform, an app, an online application, so that people can make those connections themselves. And so it is. This is the home page. It is still a work in process. Um, the it is a membership site, a paid membership site, so it is not free. I've paid some money for this site, and of course, I need to recoup my money. And y'all know I'm trying to also figure out how to turn a profit in some of my offerings. So this is a membership site. This page explains how it works, why cooperative communities are necessary, and then it speaks to the available communities. And again, this can change, so don't get if it. But I'm open to feedback. So if you have some feedback that you want to share, please feel free to share it and help me as I'm still wrapping my mind around what this looks like. But the options here are the properties available for tiny house parking. And so this is people who have land, whether it is raw land, developed land, farms, um, urban areas, a backyard, RV park, people who have property that and they're interested in allowing people with tiny houses to park their houses on their property. So this is where people will go in and they will complete a form. I've got the form and several questions that I'm asking them to get information that would be necessary for someone who is interested, who's looking for an available space. So they'll be answering questions like what size home the tiny home their land can accommodate, how many, what amenities they offer, and I'm speaking more of basic amenities around is there power, is there water, Wi-Fi, those types of things. Um, if they're looking for long-term rental or the length of rental that they'll allow, those types of questions. And they'll go in then and list their properties. I already have a kind of a strong list from people who shared their information that are, as I was doing this manual process. And so their information will be here in the site. And so then um, um, so this isn't working right now, and I was trying to figure out how to mask the URL. So I guess I will say this is a product. This is not launched, and I probably should have figured out how to cover that up. I don't know how to do it right now. But I guess I would say it is not ready to be used right now. So um, maybe this wasn't necessarily a good idea. Anyway. It's not ready is the answer. So don't sign up for it at this point because I'll have to kick you out anyway until I get it launched. It is a test site. And so people who have properties available will be able to list their properties. Tiny house owners who are seeking parking will be able to come in and complete their forms with all the information about if they currently own their home, they can provide information about their home. And I also want to mention that all of these offer options for you to share pictures of your homes and of the property. And so people who currently own homes can list information about their homes, list pictures, um, and then future tiny house folks can list what they anticipate their about their build, complete the form. They can still join because a lot of times people who are planning to buy a tiny house or build a tiny house are nervous about doing so without having a place to put it. So this allows them to come in, complete the information, and still search for a parking location. Obviously, I'll say, that person might have to put down a deposit or something to get that person to hold the land for them. But that conversation is totally up to those two people. And so that is tiny house owners seeking parking. The community development collaboration piece is for people who have property or are interested in going in with a group to purchase property, and maybe they want to collaborate on creating a community, maybe even going in together to purchase land. This is going to be more of a maybe like a portal, maybe is the best word I can think of right now, where they can collaborate and have those conversations. And then tiny house builders. So one of the challenges, one of the things I hear all the time is, do you know of a Black tiny house builder? Um, I don't know of anyone specifically, but this is going to allow tiny house builders who say aren't the big companies who do build tiny houses, or maybe they're aspiring to build tiny houses, to list their companies and services. And so there's a form. I have a form where I'm answering a lot of questions, asking them to provide information to help do some of the due diligence on the front end. I'm asking them to provide references. But the overall disclaimer for this entire site is to do your own due diligence, like I say to you all the time. So tiny house builders can come in and advertise their services. And then the last option here is tiny houses for sale. So people who have tiny houses that they want to sell, they can list them here. And all of these options provide an opportunity to share pictures. So a tiny house builder could share pictures of previous bills or previous work that they've completed. The tiny house, obviously, you'd want to see pictures of the tiny house, so they would then be able to share those pictures. This is a membership site, so in order to see the tiny house builders, in order to collaborate on community development, in order to list your tiny house, and then so the thing with the properties and the tiny house owners, sometimes property owners want to know who's looking for a parking place. So with this membership, they can come in and search tiny house owners, and vice versa. Tiny house owners can search for properties. Those four categories: properties, tiny houses, the tiny house owners, the community development, and the tiny house builders. Those are locked down. They're not open to the public. You would have to be a member of the site to participate in and view that information. The tiny house is for sale. The people who own the tiny house are required to have a membership within the site, but their houses would be visible by the public. So that's the only one that will be kind of open. I see a question around. Oh, thank you very much. What does UJAMA mean? So UJAMA is it means collective or cooperative communities. It is um, one of the principles of Kwanzaa, and it is putting resources together, building and maintaining our own, and profiting together, putting resources together for mutual wealth building, and that is UJAMA, and that is again one of the principles of Kwanzaa. And for me, that is what as I think about the opportunity. And so when I first started doing this work, I was really targeting Black farmers who are losing land and having their land stolen. This then allows, if they can partner with tiny house owners specifically. So I will say the site is not um, only for, and I've said it strategically here, it's not, um, where's the who can join on my pricing page. I don't have my pricing up yet, but I said it here. Who can join? Everyone. We welcome any and everyone who understands the need. So this isn't strictly for Black people, but it does prioritize the safety and success of our community. Because as I've spoken to the Black farmers who are losing their land because of racism and racial practices within farming, the opportunity to match them with a Black tiny house owner who, like me, needs a safe space. As I've shared, I've had to move my house twice because in an RV park and in a rural area, I had problems with racism and my safety, so I had to move my home. And so it prioritizes our community so that we can have safety, but um, it is not a Black only site is what I've called out. Everyone can use the site. It does prioritize. There is a question that asks for property owners, for tiny house builders: is your business Black owned? I want to call that out because again, we have to, and obviously somebody's going to say, well, that's racist. When we think about how businesses work, we know where we say minority businesses, because the numbers of minority businesses are a lot less than the other businesses. So I want to call that out so that it can be supported, and we can support those businesses as we again do our due diligence. But I want to, and I've spoken to the fact that the tiny house movement is 97, 98% white, and so there is a lot of room for us to be able to support ourselves so that we too can participate in this movement, and we can do it safely and successfully. So that is the intent behind the community and how it works. So again, it is not ready right now. So um, I probably should have figured out how to mask the URL since I just put it out there in the world. Um, but you won't be able to sign up for the site now. You'll just get kicked off at some point. But I will be launching it fairly soon. And thank you, Crystal. Launching it very soon and share when it is available and when it is live. And um, I keep saying this is the resource that I wanted This is the resource that I would have loved to have had as I was looking for locations. And so I am designing it with that in mind. What is it that I would hope would be available in the information right here within this site so that it is a one-stop shop for somebody maybe looking for a tiny house or looking for a builder or looking for a property or somebody with property who is looking for someone to park on their property. And so that is what I am doing here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you, Teresa. And so I have to shout out Teresa again because she connected me with her cousin who led me into the direction for various membership platforms that I didn't realize were available. And this is how this got started. So a million times I say thank you, thank you, thank you to you, Teresa, for that connection. Um, Great job. Looking forward to joining as a person looking for a lot. Can you share a little bit about what states the landowners are in that will be listing their land on your site? So right now I have landowners all over in the database that I've gathered from the manual process. So this is going to be open throughout the country. This is not limited to one particular state, and that is also one of the search options that you'll be able to search for to determine, like if you have a specific state that you're interested in, you'll be able to search on that criteria. Yes, thank you, Key. It is Ujama is one of the principles of Kwanzaa, and it means cooperative economics. Absolutely, thank you, Key. Thank you, Crystal. Casey, Casey is paying. You are the second person that has asked me that. How did you make the pointer hand on your screen black? Love it. It is one of the options that you, Casey, I'll have to, it is one of your system settings. When you go in, you can make your pointer bigger and you can indicate whether you want it to be black or white. And I'm just going to say I wanted my pointer hand to be black. So representation is important. So you are the second person who has called it out that my pointer hand is black. Um, Thank you so much. Now you go do yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, yes, Teresa, I was going to ask that too. What is the name for your conversation community? I'm not involved in it, but I have a vested interest, obviously. Um, let's see what else. That's right. Key to build, maintain, control, and sustain our own. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Um, Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Yes, yes, yes. I see it as an amazing resource. I'm so excited about it because I feel like it is. Um, it's the a one resource for all of this information that is needed in our community as well as the larger tiny house community. But again, prioritizing our community because safety, the number one question of the challenge for tiny houses is where can you place it, and that's for overall for the tiny house community. And then the second piece of that is as a black person, as a person of color, where can I place a tiny house and also be safe? And so there's that layer to the challenge of where can I place a tiny house. And so this is the resource that answers those questions. And as one of the pieces that I call out in here, as I say, I prioritize our community. One of the questions is, I'm open to everyone listing their property. I'm open to everyone listing their tiny house. But one of the things that I've stated here is that for someone who's participating in this, you, I'm explaining why it's necessary. So that means you understand why it's necessary. And you also understand that Black Lives Matter. And I feel like there are some people who just are so opposed to that entire statement. I feel like that will be one of the things that will keep them away from using this resource. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want that energy here in the resource. I'm absolutely okay with people who are not people of color using the resource who also at the end of the day are able to support and understand why this is necessary. This isn't for the races. This isn't for people who can't understand why I'm saying I'm prioritizing our community. Nothing I do is for them, and I'm okay with that. And y'all know I'm past time with arguing with those folks, but this is the work that I want to do. Um, That's correct. Pointing out racism doesn't mean that we're portraying to be victims or the false assumption that we are racist. It simply means we're putting your mindset in scrutiny. I agree with that. Like, just for, I always say, I always have people come comment to say, if you wouldn't talk about racism, it wouldn't happen. And it's like, clearly you're not a person of color, because that's not how it works. And I don't even waste time anymore to, um, to even have those conversations. We're all right. Let's talk. I hope it's a good talk. Um, Kimberly, I see you're saying Elizabeth's name. I'm not sure if you're answering a question for somebody. Um, Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Um, Vera Diane, as a disabled female, same concerns. Absolutely. So this is the way this will work, will give you an opportunity to connect with the property owner, or if you're in reverse, to connect with the tiny house owner, so that you can have conversations and you can ensure that you're both on the same page for what the expectation is. I always talk about due diligence. So part of what I explain here is any conversations that you're having, any agreements that you're entering in. My recommendation always is to put that in writing, and to do it that way, so that everybody is on the same page. But yes, I feel like I actually have had a lot of success with finding locations via Craigslist, but there is some risk, some concern. I mean, you're going to meet some weirdos out there, and you have to kind of go through sifting those out. But this is the resource where I try to go into it, and on the forms that people are um, um, completing, I'm trying to do some of that first level due diligence and asking the questions that I know need to be asked, to help in the due diligence, and then you all have to take it a step further. Um, Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Yes, I, I, no, I have zero time or tolerance for it. As I have um, just experienced my TIA, my mini stroke, I have very little time for nonsense. No, I have zero time for nonsense. So I'm not. I block them. So yes. Uh, Keith, Keith said, did not know that about my pointer setting. You bet I changed the color too. Listen, I'm always looking for an opportunity to have some representation. And if my computer over here is not representing me in my hands, that is a challenge. So I'm big on emojis. Like, I kind of gasp a little bit when someone, a black person or person of color, sends me an emoji that I know is able to be their color, and they're not using them. Um, oh yes, I do know Elizabeth. I know her in her work. Casey, get on it. Let me know if you need some help. Um, oh, Crystal is saying, child them folks, and you, Crystal saying she caught hell asking for a, a BIPOC vet on the next door neighborhood app. That reverse racism, and what I say to them, like, I catch hell on my videos because I speak to black. I say black, you say black, you say black. If I were to come and have a video and I said white all the time, y'all would think it's racist. White is the standard. You don't have to say white, because we know the majority of the businesses, the majority of the conversations, the products, they are made to that standard. It doesn't even have to be said. It is designed to that standard, which is why you have the ethnic section in a CVS. Target now is trying to intersperse stuff, but the standard is white. And so when I speak to black, and what I said to white people is, you're bothered when I'm proud of my blackness, because what you know is that when white pride represented the Klan, white pride represented black hate. And so that is what you all know as you speak to the problems that you have with me speaking to blackness. My black pride doesn't mean I hate white people. That it does. There's no harm there. There's no years of enslavement. There's nothing that is sinister in pride in my community or supporting my community. You just don't have a good point of reference, because white pride is correlates to black hate, and that's it. They have no problems. Cinco de Mayo, Mexican Pride, Irish St. Patrick's Day. Every other nationality, every other race can have pride in their community, and be very forthcoming with that. They just have a problem when we start talking to it as black people, and I'm over it. I don't participate in that conversation. Anyway, glad you found your vet. The neighborhood thing, that's one of the things their challenges there overall. Um, they have been called out for racism so many times, because you'll see somebody post something on that neighborhood app because they think a black person walking in the community is suspicious, and it's just a black person walking in the community, because they're just so unaccustomed to us. So I'm over them folks. Um, 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 so yeah, if you are black and you send me an emoji and it does not look like you, I am questioning your blackness. I might not say nothing to you, but I'm questioning your blackness. Um, Robert, I'm not even addressing your comment. Hilarious. But I will say there are plenty of people who sit in church with a crush on the pastor. I just had that conversation this morning. Um, yes, okay. I'm glad you all are feeling me. Um, let's see. You're so funny. Oh, Teresa says, Jewel, you have the one dimple thing like me. Mine is on the other side, though. Laughter is beautiful. Please do more. So Robert will be happy. I do have one dimple, and the funny thing is, my grandmother had one, and hers was on the opposite side. So Teresa, happy to share that with you, because that was always my thing, that I had one on one side, my grandmother had the other one. Um, so yes. Okay, good folk, good people. I'm good people. I am, yes, my black pride does not mean white hate. You all, like, white pride is tied in with Confederate flags, and we know Confederate flags was to keep us enslaved. And so white pride is the Klan. White pride is terror on black and brown bodies. And so that is not anything that me being supportive of my community, or me trying to spend money in my community when my community is the minority and we want to grow our businesses. They're not necessarily going out to seek out black businesses. So if we don't do it, who's going to support those businesses? Um, anyway, okay. Um, It is 2024. People need to educate themselves on cultural race awareness. We know about others. It gets exhausting. Personally teaching people on a regular basis. There's way too many educational resources. I stopped. Just like you just said, there's a whole Google out there. If somebody really wants to know, they'll go get the information. Maybe you can ask questions after you've tried to self-educate, but to start and educate and be responsible for that, I don't have I'm reclaiming my time, as Auntie Maxine says. Um, uh, yes, the fact that people get so bothered by us speaking pro-black proves our point. We are not anti anything. We're just bringing us to the forefront. Absolutely, absolutely. Teresa, step up your game. Get you some emojis that represent you. I secretly judge people. I'm not going to ever say anything, but the last thing I'm getting ready to do is send a message with an emoji that ain't brown like me. Um, Thank you, Crystal. Please like, subscribe, share, support, like this video so that it gets um, YouTube's attention. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I appreciate y'all. Okay, I'm coming over to Patreon. I've been working on this site because I want to get this site out. I've realized that multitasking ain't my real skill, and I'm still trying to navigate all of the things with my family, with my health. So I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate your patience with me. I thank y'all so, so much for the love. I ended up getting on some kind of probation on. I got a thumbs down from somebody, y'all. I ended up getting on probation on IG the other day because I was trying to um, like and respond to everybody's comments, and they banned me as spam. So I had to um, had to move my delete my app and re-add it so I could get out of probation because I couldn't comment. So I've got some posts out there with no content because they were blocking my content. No other groups of people get questioned on uplifting and supporting each other. We are the only ones who have the worst statistics with keeping our dollar in our community. Absolutely. I've forgotten what it seemed like it was something like 15 minutes, something like that was, I've forgotten what the number was for how long our dollar stays in our community. And you're absolutely right. You see so many other communities. Asian, like you can go into so many cities and they have a whole Asian community of businesses and banking and all of the things, and they support that business communities. And that is the same thing for the Latino community where they've got banking and their businesses and how they work together. And that is something that, I mean, if you go to the reason why, it points to white supremacy and all of the things that were done so that we don't work together as a community. But anytime we try to get to that level, then there's always something directed at us when, like you're saying, other communities do that all the time. Do that all the time. Yes. So I deleted the app and reinstalled it, and somehow I got off probation. But I was on probation because there were like 500 comments on my post where I shared that I'd had the TIA, and I was trying to like and respond to each comment, and I ended up being in spam jail. All right, good people, we're just shining light on us. Their perspective is their norm. I have a whole culture that I'm standing on, and I am proud of it. I must be an example to our young ones so they can see different. Absolutely, Key. Absolutely. That's beautiful. Okay, people, I need to go spend some time with my family. I thank you all for joining me in community here. I value all so much. Value you all so much. And y'all know I cry. So try not to cry. Thank you so much for being here, for being in my community. Thank you, Tweety Bird. Thank y'all. Just thank you. Um, look forward to meeting you too. Crystal, I love you too. Thank y'all so much. I'm not crying this morning, this afternoon with y'all, but just thank you. Thank you for being in my community. Thank you for showing up for me the way that you all do, and I so so appreciate you all. All right, let me do my close out so my video will uh-oh, I did something wrong there. So my video will look like it's supposed to on YouTube. Let me find my uh I lost it. My end screen. It went somewhere. Um there we go. All right. Let me do this official thing and then I'm gonna close out. Um thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate you all more than you know. Thank you, Key. It is so good to have you be able to join us um, on Sundays. Um, Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, the Green Afro. Hey, I'm glad you joined. Love you too. Thank you for being here. I hope you're well. Um, yeah, I'm glad we had some new people, some new voices. I'm glad y'all were able to join. Um, Casey, Casey is trying to take us in another direction here. We're not talking about folks' filters. Um, See y'all next week. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all so much. I am closing out. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we will talk. We will talk. They're talking about filters. Y'all are hilarious. Have a happy Sunday. Thank you so much. This is Miss Bohemian Soul TV. We are here on Sundays in community, answering questions, conversations. I do have a guest upcoming soon that I think you all will be excited to connect with, and I look forward to bringing that content to you all. No, you did not talk too much. There is no talking too much here. So thank you for participating in the community. That's what we're here for, to be in these conversations and to share. So thank you. It was not too much. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. Take care.